My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey, folks, welcome back. Today, zooming in from Morgantown, West Virginia, snowy Morgantown. We've got a very accomplished real estate entrepreneur, Mr. Ray Glymph. Ray, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So, Ray, give us a little snapshot of what you do with real estate investing, because, I think your backstory is very interesting, going from homeless to 100 doors. What kind of doors, what kind of real estate investing do you
Yeah.
focus on?
So my main focus, I have a very sweet spot. I own single family homes. I own mixed use, commercial, large commercial buildings. But my sweet spot is the 5 to 10, 5 to 20 doors
Hmm.
of real
So
estate
small
investment.
multifamily type properties.
Correct. It's something, the average investor isn't really looking at those. They're looking at, the single family, maybe a quadplex, and too small for, a Wall Street or a big investor to look at as well.
Yeah. What market areas are you focused on primarily, Ray? Are you close to home?
Yeah, so I stay close to home, but I also invest within about an hour, 2 hour region. So the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania market, the Ohio market, those are all kind of in my palm.
Very good, very good. And what time frame? How long is it take? Well, at this point, how many rental units or how many units do you have in the portfolio?
Well over 100. I think last time we counted was about 140, somewhere in that
Wow,
range.
that's
I
awesome.
do self-manage as well. So, um, but again, I always tell people it's not about the unit count. You can have as many units, but it's about the cash flow and how good quality they are. So I think that's the point I like the listeners to learn too.
Yeah. So when did you first get started in the whole real estate game, right?
It's been well over a decade. Just like a lot of listeners, I'm an accidental landlord. I bought my first house, my first home, and ended up renting out my basement. We call it house hacking now, but I didn't know what it was. A buddy of mine needed a place to stay, and he ended up covering the mortgage. And
There you
from
go.
there, I said, "What if I could scale this thing?" And sure enough, I did.
Well, I'm kind of curious because you suggested the title for this episode be From Homeless to 100 Doors. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that backstory and how you're homeless and how you got into real estate.
Well, yeah. So in my adolescence, I was about 13, 14. My dad lost his job September 11th, 2001, and we fell on hardships. We were living in New York City at the time,
Mm.
and that was the first taste of homelessness. My second one was when I moved. I left New York City, ended up sleeping on my cousin's couch here in West Virginia just to try to get into school, to get into university and get in-state tuition, which did work out. But the homeless to 100 story is a very powerful story. One, because it's the American dream of I can be anything here in this country, and I can come from anything and make it. And the other thing is, a lot of times in real estate, we think we need tons of money, right? For me, real estate was something untouchable. I didn't know you only needed for your first time. And in the US, for your first time home buyers, you need 3 to 5% down, to purchase a home. I always saw a purchase price of, 200,000, 300,000 in my lifetime. I said, I'll never come up with that money.
Mhm.
But then realizing that there are programs out there to help you obtain your first home made it so much easier to invest.
So you got into that first home and then you house hacked it. And how did you get into investing after that?
So after, I was making a little bit of money, I said, man, if I could do this thing at scale, right? If I can, get my first one or get another one that's cash flowing. So I found a house. I actually found it on Craigslist. Real sketchy looking house. Wasn't the best deal. I probably overpaid for it. But I ended up getting it, rehabbing it. I did a lot of work myself, so I learned a lot of the construction trade and how hard it could be. And then some ways how easy it could be too. Um, and I learned what task I wanted to take on and not take on. But I bought this house, got it renovated, and I still remember that first rental check. And the tenant, it was a $2,000 check, paper check. I wish I kept it. But the rent was 1,000. Tenant handed me a $2,000 check for security deposit and first month's rent. And at that point, I said, wow, I'm making $1,000 a month. I don't have to cook anything. I don't have to clean anything. This money is coming. And tenant continued to pay. So at that point, that was my first taste.
Very nice. So that first property you didn't have a mortgage on it, you bought it all cash, or what happened
No,
there?
I actually used line of credit. I had a line of credit that I was able to
Right.
tap into. I think the line of credit. The first house was a $25,000 house, right?
Okay.
These it was a unicorn. These are kind of hard to find nowadays, but
Yeah, for sure.
it was a twenty
They,
five
they
thousand.
probably look a little sketchier these days.
Oh, a lot worse. Yeah, you might as well tear them down at this point.
So I was going to ask you, Ray, now that you're kind of getting into the small multifamily space,
Mhm.
um, typically, how are you finding these kind of properties? Let's talk about that first. What's working
Yeah.
these days for you for finding deals?
I will tell people one, that is one of the easiest spaces to get into because there are a lot of tired landlords, right? Landlords who are willing to sell a finance, get you into deals with very little money in. And I'm usually finding them just through network, right? So for your listeners, if you want to find these deals, you have to increase and improve your network. And that might just be going to real estate event meetups. I just had a deal come across my table at a real estate event meetup for dinner. You
Mhm.
know, getting very comfortable with property management companies, right? The property management companies, they're touching every property that they
Yeah.
have their hands on. So if you let them know, hey, look, I'm looking to buy, you're going to be in direct contact with them.
Yeah, very, very smart. So you're not really doing a heck of a lot of work with realtors or direct mail or anything like that. It's more networking than anything.
Yeah, and even realtors, I don't do any direct mail, but even realtors are a very good part of your sphere. If
Hmm.
you let them know clean cut, hey, this is what I'm looking for, they'll be able to help you. Their goal is to sell you whatever they
Yeah,
can. They
yeah, for
make
sure.
commission, as well as wholesalers, right? Some wholesalers get a bad rep. Wholesalers are great because they are the ones doing the work. You have to understand that you're going to pay somebody in the end of it.
Yeah,
You're either going to pay a wholesaler, you're going to pay a realtor, you're going to have to pay yourself for the work that you did.
that's a
So at
good
the end
point.
of the day, who are
That's
you
a very
going to
good point.
pay?
Yeah, I like that. I'll write that one down.
No worries.
So Ray, what have you found works best for you self-managing all of these properties, especially the ones that are a little bit further afield for you, because they're not all right in your backyard.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is systems and processes. You know, the owner of McDonald's doesn't go to every McDonald's. He probably would never go to every McDonald's, even if they tried.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so you have to have great systems, you have to have great process, and you have to have a good team. Your team starts from everybody from your property manager. If you don't have a property manager, who's going to be your boots on the ground? Is it your handyman? Is it your tenants can even be your boots on the ground. Who's You have to have boots on the ground to, check up on a property, make sure it's going well. And a lot of people, they kind of shun having partners in real estate, but I'm a big fan of having partners in real estate, even if it's
mm,
at a small percentage. I've teamed up with realtors, and their percentage wasn't necessarily in a property, but they act as a property manager where I'll give them, $100 or $50. Hey, just go check out the property. I'll give you a checklist. You stop by, swing by, check it off, and send me pictures.
so this is a property that you already have in the portfolio, the one that you
Yep.
currently own. You're just getting them to
Yep.
check up on it. Smart.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, and then the other big piece of the puzzle is financing. I mean,
Yep.
the early days getting in with 3 or 4% down, great with your
It's
first house.
gone.
The other $27,000 second property or whatever it was. Owner financing is great when you can get it,
Mhm.
but what are you doing typically to finance these kind of deals?
So fortunately, I have great leverage and I have a great income now where I'm able to finance them myself. However, bigger deals, we can still do seller finance. We can still do, there's still traditional lending. I just closed on a deal before New Year, with traditional lending. So there are ways out there. And if you need to, there's DSCR loans. And what I love here about the US and investing in the US is, we can amortize over 30 years. They're
Yeah.
talking about a 40-year amortization now to make housing more affordable. So I have notes right now that are at 3% locked in for the next 30
Wow.
years. I mean, that's free money at this point,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
that is beautiful. That's fantastic. So, are you typically leveraging your existing portfolio, kind of doing,
More of that
getting
bird method.
financing, secondary financing from
So I try to
doing that?
stay away from that as much as I can. One, if you got good debt, we all can see the value of good debt right now.
Hmm.
Right. So if I got a 3% mortgage, for me to go and refinance that, it's a big loss. Yes, I can
Yeah.
have the cash now, but it's a big loss. At that point, if I need to refinance, I think and I consider, should I just sell it at that point
Hmm.
rather than refinance? Because it's not creating a cash flow that I necessarily need from it. The properties that I buy right now are able to cash flow and then afford me other properties. That is the game plan. So you have
All
to
right. So
buy.
you're just being smart. You're not spending all the cash flow you're getting. You're slamming some of that in the bank, and then you're letting it pile up. Then you're buying your next property. Is that kind of what?
And I think people should understand that. Like real estate is great. It is a great way to make profit. Um, a lot of that cash flow, though, if you're a wise investor, that cash flow you don't want to touch into, right? If you can hold that cash flow and let it keep making money for you, right? Because I know a lot of investors, they do well, they get properties that cash flow and they use that cash flow and they eat off of
They
the cash
spend it.
flow.
Yeah, they've
Yeah,
got the boats and the nice cars and the
yeah.
all
And
that
at
kind
a
of good
certain
stuff.
extent, when you get to that level, sure, no problem. But as for a beginning investor, that cash flow is to fuel your journey. And every investor, young investor, old investor, no matter how long you've been investing, everyone goes through what I call accumulation phase. You want to accumulate a certain amount of properties till you hit your number of freedom, right? If 10,000 a month will make you free, if you can live comfortably off 10,000 a month, get to that $10,000 a month in income, right?
Yeah.
At that point, you can consider yourself free, and then that's when you start to say, "Hey, do I want to continue this W-2 job?" Right? Do
Hmm.
I enjoy what I do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, exactly. What are the plans? What are the goals for 2025 for you, Ray?
That's a great question. So last year I told myself I wasn't going to buy any property and I bought millions in property last year. This year my goal is simple. I want to flip one property every month. I have a very simplistic goal, and that's just raising capital for the next deal, whatever deal I want to purchase. I want to buy the next one cash, or I want to pay down high interest debt.
Mm,
So I have properties that, we purchase and we have, 8, 9% rates. It looks like interest rates aren't going down as much as we expected,
yeah.
probably for the next 2 to 3 years. So any of that expensive debt, we want to get paid down.
All right, very cool. So when you what's your definition of flip? Are you actually doing flips by fix and sell, or what do you
Yep.
mean by flip?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm actually fixing sell. If it's a great property, we'll buy and hold it. But at this point, we're just taking the capital. Our properties are still cash flow, and we're just getting extra cash flow and then dumping it back in to pay off a property. I'd rather pay myself the interest than to pay the bank.
All right. So you're doing the flips to pay down properties, also to come up with the cash to buy really good ones and hold on to them, if
Yep,
that makes sense. Got it.
correct.
Got it. Smart stuff. Hey, well, I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to connect with you. What's the best way for them to do that, Ray?
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Ray Glymph, RayGlymph. I'm a real guy. I really do real estate and I'll really respond. So
Awesome, my friend. Well, thanks very much for being on the show and sharing your story.
thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you on the next episode. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.